Hey, all right, we're here and everything's changing because, well, this is a network roundtable intro video. I'm Dennis, you know that. Stephanie Sims is still in Europe, won't be back in North America until tomorrow, but she will be on the show Friday. This guy, he's just awesome and a friend of mine and part of the Intelign team. This is
Jim Kelly, ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.
He'll probably throw out some other ads as we go through the show because he's like a professional announcer guy.
A plethora of billboards.
And
by the way, we do have sponsorship available here on the Dennis Show.
Yeah, here on Network Roundtable, you can sponsor, and he'll say something cool.
Like Administaff. Small business is good for America, and Administaff is good for small business.
See that? There you go. So... Thanks, Jim. And Jim and I are going to be working on some other projects through the Intelign thing. But
hi, Steph.
This week we've got Gail, and you're our guest. And we brought you in. We actually invited you to come back last season because Stephanie and I so much enjoyed hanging out with you last season, where I believe we talked about intuition, if I remember right. And this week we're talking about wisdom.
Which is really one and the same thing, actually, in a sense.
Very true.
I noticed a theme here, right?
Yes, there is a theme with you.
How would you define wisdom, Gail? How would you define it?
Oh, that's a good question. I would define it as an inner knowing, basically. I could expand a little bit. In other words, it's different than a thought. I think it could incorporate your thoughts, but wisdom is a knowledge that comes to you, but not through your mind completely. I mean, our thoughts come through our mind, but I'd say that the originator of it is, something greater than who we are. It's like we're connected to a force or a flow or a wisdom that's greater than who we are.
Is wisdom learned, or can it be taught?
Is it learned? Well, let's see. That's a good one. I think that we can learn how to tap into our wisdom more and more, and I think that it does take practice. As a matter of fact, I've written a book about that. This is not the book that we're going to be talking about on Friday, but the first book is called Your Heart Knows the Answer. And it teaches you it gives you practice in connecting in with your own inner wisdom, because it's a skill like any other art or craft or sport. It's something that you have to practice in order to be good at, because we're taught really not to listen to our inner wisdom. We're really taught to listen to our thoughts and taught to listen to all the shoulds and rights and wrongs that happen to be in vogue, with our society today. So we can learn how to connect in with our wisdom, but the wisdom itself, it's just pure. It just comes to us. And I don't think that we learn that. We connect into it. Does that answer your question?
And the book is called Your Heart Knows the Answer?
Right. This is my first book. It's called Your Heart Knows the Answer, How to Trust Yourself and Make the Choices That Are Right for You.
You should send me a copy of that book, because my heart's a mess.
His heart is a mess.
Well, in this sense, I'm using heart as a metaphor for inner wisdom. But, when I say heart in this example, in the title of this book, I'm not really talking about love or emotions, because, people sometimes...
Or lack thereof.
Right, exactly. When I use heart in this sense, I'm talking about your own inner wisdom. So in a sense, I talk about the voice of your heart as opposed to the voices in your head, which are your thoughts and emotions. And the voice of your heart, getting back to what we were talking about before, it's that inner wisdom that comes through you, that if you have enough courage and strength to follow it, I believe that that's what will lead you to having the best possible life.
Well, the book that you're going to talk about with Dennis on Friday has been a true labor of love, right?
Correct. That's a new book that was just released. That's a memoir, and it's called Finding Zoe. and it is my co-author's memoir. Her name is Brandy Harirs, and a lot of wisdom and heart went into writing this book, I'd have to say.
And I've got to say, I loved the book. I've had a chance to read it, and it is such an amazing story, and touched me personally on so many levels. My oldest son, oh yeah, let's show the cover. There you go, Finding Zoe. It touched me in so many ways. I had a deaf roommate in college, and for a little while learned some sign language. I've forgotten all of that because that's like 26 years ago or something. But I adopted my oldest son. Cheryl adopted her oldest son. And so the ties between adoption and the deaf community and all of that, this was a fantastic book. So motivational, inspirational, insightful. Yeah.
Gail, for you, what was the most fun aspect of writing this book?
You know, there are many, but actually to relate it to the topic of the show, Friday's show, if I might, because there were so many things that were wonderful about my experience. I could write a book about writing this book, honestly. But one of the things that was so wonderful for me is that it really was a chance for me to explore my own views on perspectives on life, my spiritual views on life, which is really the focus of my life. And that's really what my first book is about, was able to expand on those views and perspectives through the telling of Brandy's story, which was her life. She just had the most amazing life. And so we tell this story through what I call the lens of perfection, meaning that everything had to happen exactly as it did in just the right time. All the heartaches and agony, right, Dennis? That all had to happen exactly as it did for Zoe to find the family there she really belonged to be with, and for Brandy to find the daughter that she had been waiting for her entire life. And so it gets back to that wisdom. You know, I felt that I like to look at life through that lens. And I feel that the way that I do that is really through connecting into my own inner wisdom and my own intuition, which is really guided from a higher power. That's how it lands for me. So to be able to explore this incredible woman's life through my own spiritual views and perspectives, that was extraordinary for me. You know, so even though it was a very personal experience for Brandy, she put her life out there. And it was, she says quite a lot of things. In a way, it was hard for her to put it out. She was concerned that maybe some people in the deaf community would not like what she had to say. And it really took a lot of courage for her, very personal for her. But in a sense, I really feel that my own inner life is expressed on those pages as well. It was very personal for me. And I love that, being able to share that.
I'm going to steal Dennis's copy of your book and read it, because I'm the only guest sportscaster you're going to meet today, Gail, that used to live in Wayland, Massachusetts.
You have to be kidding me.
Lived in Wayland, and both of my young daughters, who went to grade school there, had a deaf child in their class. So both of my daughters learned sign language so they could communicate with their friends. And the dinner table consisted of my two daughters having a conversation and my then wife and I looking at each other dumbfounded, and the girls were just laughing. So on a personal note, I'm going to grab Dennis's copy of the book, and I wish you the very best with it, Gail, and best of luck on the show with Dennis on Friday.
Thank you very much. And I can't believe you come from Wayland. That's the town over from me. I'm in Framingham.
There you go. I used to work at Channel 7 back when Cy Yanoff, that crook, ran Channel 7. Oh.
Wow.
Ooh.
That's amazing.
Sue me, Cy.
Well, it's great to meet you.
Oh, you too. You remember the old coach house on the Post Road there? That was about 1.5 miles from where we lived in Wayland. And the girls rode horses. But more importantly to your story, they each learned sign language so they could communicate with their deaf friends in school there. So I'm going to steal Dennis's copy. Nice to meet you, Gail, and have a great show on Friday with Dennis DUCE.
All right.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Can I say one more thing? That it's interesting that you both have connections to deaf people. It's like, what are the odds of that happening? But the thing is with Finding Zoe is that what is so incredible that we as hearing people could learn from someone who is deaf. I mean, even if you don't know anybody who's deaf, I mean, this book is about, there's so much to learn from this book. I mean, it talks about love, how love can take on many shapes and forms and disguises, how blaming other people is a complete waste of time, and how what seems horrible up close is beautiful from a distance. It shows how, life isn't about being perfect or not making any mistakes. It's doing what's right for you, and how when you do, you're also doing what's right for others.
Gail, you have a beautiful soul, and best of luck with the book.
Thank you so much.
Cheers.
Okay, so one last question for you.
Okay.
Who's your sidekick?
Time to know, huh? Well, I thought long and hard about this, Dennis. I honestly did. And I decided to choose Nicole Levac. And I don't know if you know Nicole. I met her recently. She lives up in Canada, and she is an incredibly wise woman. And she also read Finding Zoe, and we had incredible conversations about the wisdom of the story and also just my experience writing it. And I thought she'd be perfect, so she's it.
Perfect. We are looking forward to this Friday, and I am going to love having a fellow Canadian on the show. So,
Right.
All right, we'll see you. Everybody, join us Friday, 12:42, right here, Network Roundtable channel on Google+, YouTube, Facebook, my blog, everywhere you want to be.
Cast of thousands.
There you go. Thanks. Oh, and there was a lot of chatter. This is Jim Kelly, my new personal sidekick. You'll be seeing Jim around. So, yeah, that answers everybody's questions. Bye.